All right. Back at it now, a midweek effort here on the Steve Gruber Show. Jake Novak, my next guest, has been a broadcast journalist, editorial columnist for 3 decades, working in many national outlets, CNN, Fox, CNBC, a recognized political and economic analyst and commentator on religion, culture, and higher education. And he joins me now. Jake, nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning to you. Listen, I think I was surprised. I was anticipating a hung jury. I did not expect a clean sweep of convictions for Hunter Biden, and yet here we are. What do you make of it? What was your first initial reaction when you saw the verdicts come down?
Well, my first reaction was that of all the things you're going to convict Hunter Biden of, this is it. I mean, that was, of course, we knew that at the beginning of the trial. You know, you've heard of the term appearance of impropriety. It feels like this entire trial and conviction is trying to create a false appearance of propriety. In other words, so that the Democrats can say, the Biden administration can say, the Justice Department can say, you see, it's not all biased against conservatives and Trump supporters. We're convicting Joe Biden's son, too. But they're convicting him of just about the most unimportant charge that he possibly could face. This is someone who has been on the take, basically on a bribery take for many, many years.
That's right.
This is someone, and for that to be the only thing they get him for is really, it's almost like it's throwing out the baby for the bathwater. It really is.
Well, all right, so the media breathlessly reporting, oh, he's facing 25 years in prison. That will never happen. He might face a few weeks behind bars, possibly for this gun charge. We'll see. But the real meat is coming in September, as you point out, Jake, because in September we've got this tax evasion trial in California, which opens up this Pandora's box because they've got this laptop, which has now been verified by the DOJ. This is the real deal, and they've put it on the record. So therefore, this laptop, it exposes so much: the emails, the conversations, the business meetings, the inner workings of the Biden family business, which is nothing more than selling the Biden name, Joe Biden specifically. And that's really problematic for them, isn't it?
That's right, Stephen. And you know what? I'm going to just say this as clearly as possible. The American people need to learn via this Hunter Biden story that bribery is not illegal in the United States. All you have to do is pay off, employ, or otherwise ingratiate yourselves with someone else in the family other than the actual elected politician. And it's completely legal. 5 years ago for CNBC, I wrote a column about that saying that, you know what, it's amazing. It's because of the tax evasion that he's in trouble. Had he paid his taxes on all this stuff, he wouldn't be in trouble. It's silly. Bribery is 100% legal in the United States. Anyone who thinks otherwise doesn't know what they're talking about. The Hunter Biden case should educate the public about this, and both Republicans and Democrats should be pounding the table about it.
Bribe the son.
We're talking about drugs.
Bribe the son, not the father, is your point here. But here's where it gets sticky. Not only not pay taxes. Look, Hunter Biden's a reckless individual. I think that's pretty fair to say based on all the evidence we have in front of us. And now you have to ask the question, was he a foreign agent? Of course he was. And he never registered. So that opens up a whole nother room full of problems because it all connects back to the big guy. It all comes back, Jake, and it's all there. It's all documented. I mean, it's page after page after page of documentation with a lot of basic pornography mixed in just for, I guess, for a sideshow, because that's what the rest of it is, a sideshow. The gun charges, the pornography, the crack, that's a sideshow. The main event is how much money came in. $18 million is a pretty common number put out there by the House Republicans. And this happens in September. What is the political impact on Joe Biden, if he's still in the campaign at that point, of this trial?
Well, it's not going to be as much as it should be. I mean, really, he should never. I mean, how many times can we say he should never have been elected president? Remember, the first time they impeached Donald Trump was when he was basically fishing for some better evidence of what was going on. But honestly, President Trump at the time didn't need to do that. What's the most problematic about all of this, Steve, is that clearly that money that they paid to Hunter Biden was very effective. We have an administration now that can't stop giving massive amounts of money with no strings attached to Ukraine in a meat grinder of a war that shows no signs of ending, and this administration doesn't seem to have any interest in stopping. So $18 million has gone a long way. $18 million to Hunter has led to how many billions of dollars in military aid and other kinds of aid, this is the best investment I've ever heard of in my entire life.
Well, and I want to touch on that because, you know, I have said this for years, and it sounds like you're echoing something that I've said, and that is all corrupt roads lead back to Ukraine, whether it's Hillary Clinton and the Russian dossier, or the Biden crime family, or a host of other things. They all lead back to Ukraine. Ukraine, one of the most corrupt countries on earth, and American politicians and business people have a lot of connections there, and I think we know why, don't we?
Right. It's not only the fact that they're bribing all these people, but Ukraine has a natural gas industry that, you know, the United States is very sophisticated natural gas businesses in this country. So there's that kind of partnership that a lot of politicians and their business people who sponsor them, again, more bribery. It's not just foreigners bribing us, Steve. It happens in this country too. They do this. They do it the same way. So there's a lot of reasons why we have these too many connections with Ukraine than we should have as far as these kinds of financial entanglements.
And as you talk about the $18 million, it's not just Ukraine. Ukraine and China are the top two countries. And look at the way we have treated China since Joe Biden first fell asleep in the Oval Office. I mean, honestly, China's gotten a pass on just about everything, haven't they?
That's right. I mean, listen, it's not just China. I mean, China, Russia, and the entanglements with the Ukraine and Iran, they are our enemies. They are our political and economic enemies. It doesn't mean we have to launch wars against them. It just means we need to be smarter about how we deal with them economically and politically, and to allow the son of the President of the United States to get all this kind of money. At the time, he was the son of the vice president, in between jobs at the time. To allow all of that is just the height of irresponsibility. You know, before World War II, there were some Americans who had business dealings with Nazi Germany. Very few. But even those small number inhibited the war effort. One of them was Joseph Kennedy, John F. Kennedy's father. He was a problem. He was a problem during the early days of the war. Now imagine dozens more people like that. We are really inhibited in our ability to protect this country properly.
Well, I want to go back to something you said because I do want to reflect on this. Our entanglements in Ukraine, the provocation to Russia over and over again, now greenlighting the use of American weapons to fly into proper Russian territory and kill soldiers and blow up munitions and attack infrastructure. I mean, we're standing on the cusp of a major war in Europe, possibly World War III. It's not an overstatement. We are playing with fire there, are we not?
That's right. Yeah, and I really, really don't like Putin and the Russian regime.
Neither do I.
Awful. However, what's the end game here, Steve? Has the President of the United States ever gone on national TV to tell the American people what our end game options are?
And that brings me to the question I keep asking. How does this end? And all these supporters of the war in Ukraine cannot answer that question. How does this end? I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, I mean, if the President of the United States, this is a problem throughout our American political leadership, whether it's Republicans or Democrats. We don't have leaders who come on television or speak to the public and tell us exactly what their goals are specifically, as opposed to just talking points. I want to know from Joe Biden what line of territory would be considered a victory. When are we going to start peace talks? Where are the diplomats? But nothing. All we hear is we got to support Ukraine, and then he mumbles something else. And you're right. We're really playing with fire here. The American people need to know. And, you know, during the worst days of the Cold War, we knew exactly what the goals were.
That's right.
And we don't have that now. We just don't.
We don't. We don't know. In the Cold War, we knew who our enemy was. In this case, we're just kind of all over the place. It's very reckless. It's very dangerous. Jake Novak, thank you for being here. Look forward to talking to you again.
Better days. Thank you so much.
Really